Hi guys, welcome back. So one of the big questions that's been going around this Six Nations is who should play fly half for England, Owen Farrell or Marcus Smith? Or is there a paradox here? Are we asking the wrong question? Should we be asking who else should play fly half apart from Farrell or Smith? I'm very torn on this. I've been very conflicted when doing my selection videos on, going for Smith or Farrell. And for the Wales game, I thought Farrell was the most sensible option because he's physical and he can kick at goal. Well, half of that was right potentially. But certainly, I don't think there is a right answer. And I'm going to try and present some of the different sides, the pros and cons for all the answers. And I invite you guys to let me know below what you go for, and also I've devised a vote so I can gather the data from out there. Who do you think should play fly half for England? And I'm saying in the World Cup, because that is probably the ultimate goal here. Should it be Farrell, Smith or someone else? I'll go through the options as we get into it. So let's talk about Owen Farrell and some of the pros, some of the reasons why you would select him at fly half. First of all, you could say physicality. He's a big strong guy for a fly half, for sure. And he can make big tackles on the game line, he can ruck, he can do a lot of things that other fly halves can't. However, you could also argue he does miss a few tackles, and maybe one caveat there is modern defences are asked to rush up quite a lot and maybe miss a few more tackles than they would do normally because they're just trying to get pure line speed, and if someone misses them, the idea is the next person gets them. But also I think Farrell has been prone to the desire for the hit, that big hit, instead of just making the tackle as well. So physicality, yes and no, but certainly on a good day, he can be very physical, good in the tackle, and he can stop people dead in the game line. Often at 10 there's a weakness at fly half tackling, and sometimes Farrell really stops that gap up very nicely. He did pretty well against Wales. Now another pro for Owen Farrell is normally kicking, especially kicking at goal. In the past he's been great for the Lions in World Cups for England, but in this Six Nations, to be fair, he has been a bit poor. But normally I think you would say it is a pro. You normally say that form is temporary, class is permanent. Can he get his kicking back? Probably. Now a definite pro I would say is leadership. All the players that play with Farrell say he's an excellent leader. Coaches love making him captain, and indeed Borthwick's done the same. Now the discussion is that a mistake? Well, not in terms of him as a captain. He's a brilliant leader, very competitive, influences the squad, and he's that extra coach on the pitch for sure, on the training pitch as well. He makes a coach's life a lot easier, brings out experience. But with your captain, do you have to start them? Well, yes you do. All other teams around the world start their captains. It's a bit absurd if in a big game you don't start your captain. They need to be one of those players that are first pick, especially for those big games. So is it a mistake? Well, maybe, if you're not going to play him at fly half. Let's get into the cons then. And his age, you could say, is a bit of a con. 31 years old. Sure, he's got this World Cup in him, but probably not another one. Speed's never been his forte. Looking back in the past, he's definitely been quicker. He has slowed down a bit, as has his agility. And that just makes you a little bit less of a threat to the opposition. Sure, you can make great decisions, but this thing of being a natural ball player and Farrell not being a natural ball player is part due to the fact that he is a bit slow. If you're opposite a player like Farrell, yes, you're going to have to tackle him well, but if he gets away from you, you kind of have the confidence that you can catch up with him. So you can half pay attention to other things going around you, thinking if Farrell does run, I can probably get hold of him and bring him to ground. But if you've got someone like Finn Russell in your face, you just can't take your eyes off them, because if you give them a second, they'll take a yard and they'll be gone. So that's part of the reason why Farrell maybe isn't the best ball player, because defences just aren't that scared of him. So let's get on to Marcus Smith and why you might pick Marcus Smith. Now I think his acceleration and footwork are excellent. He's got a good sidestep, he can go through a gap, he can accelerate very quickly to his top speed. I wouldn't say his top speed is absolutely amazing for a fly half, but it's decent. But certainly that acceleration and footwork can make gaps, make half gaps, create space for other people. That makes him quite unpredictable, and by his nature, he is unpredictable. He will go and play what he sees. Sometimes that gets him into trouble, we'll come on to that. But other pros are, he's fearless, he definitely has a really positive attitude, and he's a good natural leader. So yeah, he makes a good fly half psychologically. I think his kicking at goal is definitely good enough as well, although he hasn't really had the chance to kick at goal much for England. and age 24, he's got plenty more in him, another World Cup cycle at least. And also, I'd say a pro is he's actually a little bit untried with a lot of attacking weapons outside him. Under Eddie Jones, yes, he got 20 caps, and you could say that was a con, that he's had 20 caps without convincing, but Eddie Jones didn't really give him that attacking threat around him to show him at his best. But certainly I'd say the biggest con for Marcus Smith is defensively, he is frail. He does try and make those tackles. He's not shirking the tackles like maybe a Danny Cipriani did in his earlier days. He does go for it, but players do go through him, or they do make yards even though he brings them down eventually. So you're going to have a defensive weakness in your line. It's just whether the pros outweigh that con. And also he's been accused of maybe running up blind alleys at times, trying things that aren't on, getting isolated. So you could say that was a bit of a con as well. But there's lots of pros, lots of cons to Smith and Farrell. But now we need to talk about George Ford. Now he's back from injury, and we've had this interesting thing this week where Ford's been kept in the squad and Smith's been sent away to play, with the premise that Smith needs game time. Well, yes he does, but that's a bit disingenuous because George Ford needs game time too, and probably more than Smith. What do I think's going on here? Well, I think it's quite simple really. They want to get George Ford up to speed, get him reps in training. Now if you send Smith away, you get the positive of Smith playing some game time. Smith knows England's system fairly well now. He's had a lot of training, some time on the pitch. George Ford doesn't. Owen Farrell's there, but he doesn't need a huge amount of reps because he's played so much, and he can sit back and help coach George Ford a little bit into the new system. So you're kind of killing two birds with one stone. But what will be interesting is when the squad comes out next week and see if all three are in there or if they slim down to two of them. Now, with George Ford, if you play George Ford, what are the pros? Well, he's experienced just like Owen Farrell, so you get a player with stacks of experience. And he is a bit more of a natural ball player. In fact, he's a lot more of a natural ball player. He probably takes the ball to the defensive line better than anyone in England. Very cool, very calm, and making great decisions. He's got a little bit more footwork and speed than Farrell, so he can make those half breaks a bit more. I think his kicking is very good. I think it's probably as good as Farrell's. It's just when they've played together, it's Farrell that normally gets the kicking honours. His game management is very good. He's very comfortable as a leader, and you could slot him in straight away. The cons, well, he's been injured for a while, but hopefully that will be gone once he plays a bit more rugby. And he's very small. He's actually a decent tackler. He's probably better than Marcus Smith, but being so small, defenders are going to kind of go through him or at least make yards on him. So once again, you do have a slight frailty in your defensive line. But like I said, probably slightly better than Marcus Smith. Age-wise, probably not really a con at the moment. 29 years old. Does he have another World Cup in him? Probably not, but we're looking towards this World Cup, so that's probably fine. So do you play George Ford instead of Smith or Farrell? Or are neither of them actually good enough? Or are their cons outweighing their pros? Are there players who have everything? Now, it's rare to find a fly half with a bit of everything, but is that player actually out there? Is Finn Smith that player? I mean, he's gone from Worcester to Northampton. He's really matured. He could be a great player. You don't know till you try him. Also, another name I'll put in there is Charlie Atkinson, who similarly has gone from a club that disappeared from the Premiership, from Wasps now to Leicester. He's maturing nicely. He could be a player with a bit of everything as well, but they haven't been tried. The other three are probably safer bets, if you like. So, what I want to know is, what are your thoughts? Who should play fly half for England? I've popped a link in the comments below. Please do vote. Tell me who should play fly half. I'm saying in the World Cup to keep it simple. Is it Farrell? Is it Marcus Smith? Is it Ford? Is it Finn Smith? Or is it another player? So let me know all your thoughts and go for that vote below. Love to know what you think, and I'll catch you next time.